These are the best drugstore skincare products I have ever tried. Backstory. Last year I posted this video where I shared my #1 favorite product in every single beauty category at the drugstore. And originally I was planning to just do an updated version of that video this year, but then as I was thinking about it more, I was like, what if instead of another giant video where I'm only sharing one recommendation, I post category specific videos like skincare, body care, makeup, and hair care, and share my top 3 favorites for each product category.
Ooh, that's interesting.
That way this video isn't just a repeat of last year, knowing that a lot of my #1 favorites are the same, but also if my #1 favorite doesn't work out for you, then you have a couple other options that I think are just as amazing. And I also felt like a series like this would be a little bit of a better resource for those that are newer to my platforms and looking for a one-stop shop to figure out my absolute favorite beauty products that are under $25. Because that is the dollar limit I forced myself to set for this video. If you're over $25, you're out. So let's dive into part 1 of this series, my favorite drugstore skincare products that are $25 or less. Starting off with makeup removal, I decided to pick 3 different types of products for this category, so I'll be sharing my favorite cleansing balm, cleansing oil, and micellar water. In last year's version of this video, I shared that my #1 favorite makeup remover from the drugstore was the e.l.f. cleansing balm. And while I still think that that is my favorite in terms of actual product texture and performance, it's something that I have since completely stopped repurchasing solely because of the smell. I told you guys last year it reminds me of lemon scented cleaning products, and ever since filming that, I feel like I just continued to get more and more grossed out by the smell to the point where I no longer want to repurchase it. If the smell doesn't bother you, then that is still my #1 recommendation because again, I think it's best in terms of performance, but because I don't even want to repurchase it anymore, I needed to pick a second best option, and I think that that is the Garnier Erase It All Makeup Cleansing Balm. I don't know why I just said it so choppy like that. It's the Erase It All Makeup Cleansing Balm. That's better. Ingredient highlights include shea butter, jojoba seed oil, and hyaluronic acid, and just like every single other product in this video, this is fragrance and essential oil free. So for the sake of not repeating that a million times, just know that that's gonna be the last time I say that. The texture of this one is thicker than e.l.f., but not to the point of feeling heavy on my skin. I actually think it feels really nice. It's soft, it's creamy, it's moisturizing, it's smooth. All in all, the texture and application experience is very pleasant, and when I think about all of the other drugstore cleansing balms I've tried aside from e.l.f., which includes brands like CeraVe, Hero Cosmetics, Versed, Bioma, and Naturium, I do definitely think that this is the next best option that not only is fragrance free, but just kind of smells like nothing. My favorite cleansing oil is a product that I told you guys I was gonna stop talking about for a while because I felt like a broken record talking about it. I was like, you get it at this point, it's my favorite. I wanted to test out other things, but I have to come back to it for this video because it is still the best performing cleansing oil I have tried at such a low price point. And it's the Neutrogena Light Sesame Fragrance-Free Body Oil. The main ingredient highlight here is sunflower seed oil, and the reason why I love this so much outside of it working so well for me and working better than a lot of other cleansing oils is because the texture does not feel even a little bit greasy. It's perfectly soft, my makeup swipes right off with it, and the fact that I can get 8.5 ounces of it for only $15.99 is amazing. Last for makeup removal is my favorite micellar water, which is the Garnier Skin Active Micellar Cleansing Water. I recently saw, well, I guess it wasn't that recent, but probably within the last 6 months, saw a video that James Welsh posted over on TikTok talking about the history of micellar water and why it was invented, and it fascinated me because the whole reason why micellar water was invented, if I'm remembering what he said correctly, was because they wanted to create a cleansing solution that did not need to be rinsed off. And that was so fascinating to me because I have never used micellar water like that. I've only ever used it for makeup removal, but I love it for that purpose. While I absolutely appreciate a really nice cleansing balm or oil, they are a little bit more of a hassle for me. I feel like it's just a messier way to remove makeup than something like this. So when I don't feel like dealing with that, I will reach for a micellar water. And my favorite from Garnier is the one with the blue cap because I think it's the best at removing eye makeup, but the one with the pink cap is also really, really nice for facial makeup removal. The next category is cleanser, and my first and second favorites are actually just slightly different versions of the exact same product, which is Prequel's Cleanser. The brand first launched with the original cleanser, which has a white cap, and then later came out with a salicylic acid version of their cleanser cleanser. This is called Cleanser Plus SA, which has a blue cap. Both of these cleansers contain 50% glycerin, which is the main reason why I'm so obsessed with them. It's incredibly hydrating. It has the most amazing texture. I know it's not everyone's favorite. We'll get into the texture in a second, but first I want to call out ingredient highlights. So for the original cleanser, in addition to glycerin, other highlights are inulin, aloe juice, and oat kernel flour. And then for the SA version, this has 1% salicylic acid, succinic acid, and zinc PCA. So the SA cleanser is what I use in the morning to help to prevent blackheads, clogged pores, and just with overall oil control because I do have skin that leans oily. The original is something that I use at night, and this is a great non-treatment focused option for those of you that just want a super nice hydrating cleanser. While the formula differs a little bit, I find the texture of these cleansers to be identical. They both have a jelly-like, super light, soft texture that again feels incredibly hydrating. I do think that there is something about it that feels a little bit slimy, a little bit like snail mucin, but I actually really enjoy that about it. I think it's something that I have just grown to really love because I just love the overall experience, how my skin feels while I'm using it, how it feels after. So again, I know that that kind of slimy quality is not everybody's favorite, but it's definitely mine. For the number 3 spot, I was going to go with the CeraVe Hydrating Cream to Foam Cleanser because what I originally loved about this so much was that number 1, it has kind of a milky creamy texture. If you know me, you know that I am a sucker for textures like that. But number 2, that it's something that does a really good job at removing things like tinted sunscreen or a little bit of a heavier skincare product than maybe other kinds of cleansers are. However, they have recently reformulated this. When you look at their website, it now says new on the label. This bottle does not, so I'm sure that they're probably still going through stock of what they had of the original formula, but in looking at the ingredients that they have listed, I'm like, yeah, this is definitely different than this bottle that I have. I mean, the top several ingredients are all the same, but I was reading reviews saying that this feels different. It has a weird smell now, so I'm like, okay, I feel like I need to pause on this and somehow get my hands on that new formula, test that out. So we're not going to include that one, which means that my number 3 spot goes to something that, oh my God, I was obsessed with for the longest time because it was the only cleanser that wasn't irritating my skin. It is the Vanicream Gentle Facial Cleanser. The thing that makes this so spectacular is not the formula, it's not, you know, the ingredients, the texture, it's how incredibly gentle this is for those that have sensitized, irritated skin. So no ingredients to highlight here. The texture is something that I would say is kind of just like a standard lightweight gel that has a little bit of a pearlescence to it. It definitely feels nice. Like it's soft. I enjoy the experience. Don't get me wrong. It's just that when I think about like the prequel cleanser, which has this texture that I'm obsessed with, I wouldn't necessarily say that I feel that same kind of way about the texture of this cleanser, but I guess I have like a different love and passion for it in the way that it helped me so much when I was going through months and months of severe barrier damage where everything burned and irritated the crap out of my skin except for this. And also it's something that still cleans well while being gentle. I think that there can kind of be a fine line between a cleanser being gentle and then just like not really giving you a good clean, kind of leaving you with a feeling of residue. This doesn't do that at all. Residue free, great clean, but so gentle. So until I figure out what's going on with that CeraVe cleanser, I had to go back to my roots for this video and give this the huge shout out it deserves. Let's move on to facial sprays. My number 1 favorite is still the exact same as last year's video. It is the Bioma Balancing Facial Mist. This contains ceramides, cholesterol, fatty acids, lactobacillus ferment, bifida ferment filtrate, allantoin, and panthenol. And it has the most amazing, lightweight, fine, even, continuous mist. Absolutely the best facial mist I've ever tried in that sense, just the way it distributes product, but it also just feels really nice and refreshing and hydrating and replenishing on my skin. So still the winner, but if you are looking for a couple other options, I would say second place goes to a newer launch from La Roche-Posay. Well, how long has this been out now? I can't even remember. It's their Cicaplast B5 Soothing Repairing Concentrate Spray. Ingredient highlights in this include madecassoside, panthenol, mannose, manganese gluconate, and La Roche-Posay's thermal spring water. And compared to Bioma, this one definitely does not spray out as evenly or as nicely. It's something that feels not heavy on the skin, but just not quite as light and fine as Bioma. And then it also doesn't have that like really amazing even continuous mist. So it's something that you do kind of have to to spray a few more times to get to fully cover your face. But in terms of the actual benefits I get from this, I think it's great. I just find it to be really calming and soothing whenever my skin is irritated, and I love that we're getting the benefits of barrier repair in such a lightweight format. I think that that's something that is really, really nice during the day when you're not interested in layering on thicker barrier creams. And my third favorite drugstore facial mist is the Prequel Universal Skin Solution Dermal Spray. This is the only hypochlorous acid spray that I am aware of at the drugstore. It contains hypochlorous acid, electrolyzed water, and a soothing mineral concentrate. So another that is really nice for calming and soothing, but then you're getting that additional benefit of breakout prevention as well. I do personally prefer to get my hypochlorous acid from Amazon. I get it from a brand called Skin Smart. It's kind of one of those like rogue brands where I'm like, I don't really know what else they carry, but that is the one that I have just continued to repurchase because it's actually more affordable than this, but it's not something that you can get at the drugstore. So I wanted to give you guys a recommendation for a hypochlorous acid spray, the only one I have ever found at the drugstore that I really enjoyed while I was using this. I have gone through an entire bottle of this and had a good experience. I was just like, I might as well stick with Skin Smart if it's cheaper. But again, if you want something you can pick up in stores, this would be the one to go for. Moving on to serums, my first recommendation is the Timeless Skincare Vitamin C Serum. This contains 20% L-ascorbic acid in addition to ferulic acid and vitamin E. This is a vitamin C serum that I have found myself coming back to time and time and time again. Timeless. I didn't even try to do that. Over the past several years now, I feel like I have kind of tested out a handful of vitamin C serums, but I'll always come back to this because it just works really well for me. The texture is super lightweight. I would say that it's mostly watery with a little bit of slip, so it's something that does not feel even a little bit greasy. It dries down really nicely. It's not something that looks overly greasy or dewy on my skin. It kind of just dries down naturally and then plays really nicely with anything that I put on top of it, which is something that's super important for me in skincare products. Like if you're a really nice product alone, but you mess up the rest of my routine, it's not gonna work. So that's why I've continued to use and recommend Timeless over the last several years. I just think it's such a solid vitamin C serum. And the fact that you can get it for oh my god. Wait, this one's $25.99. No, just broke my own rule. Okay, I'm devastated. Whatever, it's the one product that's 99 cents higher than the limit. That is still an incredible price point for a serum like this. The second serum is my second favorite vitamin C serum. It's Prequel's Lucent C Brightening Vitamin C Serum. It contains 15% L-ascorbic acid, ferulic acid, ergothioneine, niacinamide, and inulin. This one is also lightweight, but it does have more slip to it than Timeless, and it also gives me more of an immediate glow boost versus just drawing down a bit more naturally. So I think that this is going to be one that you prefer if you have really dry skin. Both are really nice options. I don't think you can go wrong. It just kind of comes down to personal preference. For the third serum, I also had to go back to the archives here because outside of vitamin C, I'm not using any other serums from the drugstore right now, but I did still want to give you guys a third option that I used to use and really enjoy, and that is the CeraVe Acne Control Gel. The main reason I picked this is not only because I used to like it, but also because I feel like this is a really good substitute for a serum that I do use every day, which is the IT Cosmetics Bye Bye Breakout Serum. That serum has 2% salicylic acid, which this also has. It has lactic acid, which this also has, and it has some other hydrating, replenishing ingredients that are not the same in this, but that this also has, like as a broader category. So the other ingredients that this has include glycolic acid, not enough to the point where it's listed as an active ingredient, but that is called out in this, along with niacinamide, ceramides, hyaluronic acid, and cholesterol. This is a little bit thicker than what you traditionally think of for a serum because it's not quite as liquidy or runny or watery, but it still is incredibly lightweight. It's like a super, super soft gel. It's not greasy, it's not sticky. It also has a really nice dry down that plays well with other products. So if you are looking for something from the drugstore that gives you that 2% salicylic acid, some other exfoliation benefits, replenishing, soothing, and a really nice format, I think that this one from CeraVe is such a solid option and definitely my top pick out of all other products like this at the drugstore. For moisturizer, my number one spot last year went to the Vanicream Daily Facial Moisturizer, and this still reigns supreme for me. It contains squalane, hyaluronic acid, and ceramides, and is the perfect texture for something that is in between a really light, thin lotion and something that's a bit thicker and creamier. It's slightly runny, slightly milky, super soft, incredibly hydrating and moisturizing. It is just the perfect moisturizer to me. But if I had to pick two other moisturizers from the drugstore that I think are just as amazing but have different textures, different benefits, it would be these. First is the Bioma Moisturizing Gel Cream, which is something that I had completely forgotten about. I used to absolutely love this in the morning, and then, you know, as it goes with YouTube and testing out different products and just trying to see what's new, what you really love, you sometimes forget about things, and that was the case with this, so I'm so glad this video brought me back to it. The ingredient highlights include niacinamide, ceramides, cholesterol, oleic acid, and green tea leaf extract, and as the name suggests, the texture of this is a gel cream. And like the most perfect gel cream ever, if I do say so myself, it's super lightweight, but something that still feels moisturizing and hydrating and like has enough of that creaminess to give you all day moisture. I just love how this feels to apply. It's like a serum gel cream moisturizer because there's something like a little serumy about it, but it's not overly watery to where it kind of just evaporates. It's beautiful. And the last moisturizer is the thickest and creamiest of the bunch. It is the Naturium Multi-Peptide Moisturizer. This contains jojoba seed oil, squalane, niacinamide, peptides, hyaluronic acid, and panthenol. And this has a really soft, velvety, creamy texture that for a cream is not overly heavy or rich, so it still works for the daytime. It's definitely, again, the thickest, creamiest out of these three, but it's not so much so to where you're like, oh my god, I can only use that at night. I fell in love with this a few years ago, and it still stands out to me as just one of the nicest moisturizers at the drugstore. For eye cream, last year, I did not have an eye cream pick. I actually suggested something that, well, I'm still gonna suggest, but in the last spot. So I went back to look at old videos to see what drugstore eye creams was I using before, what did I really love, and I was like, again, I forgot about something that is also from Bioma. It is the Deep Puff and Brighten Eye Gel. Ingredient highlights include a triceramide complex, triple hyaluronic acid, and vitamin C, and this has a very light yet hydrating gel texture that does start to feel a bit serumy as you apply it. So it's perfect for daytime if you're looking for something to give you a little bit of extra hydration and glow under the eyes, but that can also be worn with makeup without messing it up, because that's obviously a risk that you run with a thicker, creamier eye cream. The other eye cream that actually kind of like led me back to this is the one that I started testing out a few months ago now. It's the Bioma Barrier Repair Eye Cream. I talked to you guys about this in a favorites video in my nighttime skincare routine, and I'm talking to you about it again now. This is officially a top favorite drugstore eye cream for me. It contains a barrier lipid complex, hyaluronic acid, ectoin, copper tripeptide 1, shea butter, cacao seed extract, and Japanese gold thread root extract. This is going to be the one for you if you prefer an eye cream that is more rich, buttery, and creamy. It's so nice. It just feels like a high-end, luxurious eye cream to me. And while it's not something that I personally use during the day, I have been loving this at night. I can tell I'm like 1 or 2 pumps away from being out of this, and then well, I was gonna say I'm going to immediately repurchase. Maybe I should test out something else. This is literally the dilemma of my life. I'm like, do I just send it and buy the exact same thing again, or do you guys want me to test something else out to give you another review? Either way, at some point in the near future, I will be repurchasing this because it is so good and I love that it's affordable. And my third favorite eye cream is not an eye cream at all, but a category of products that I think you can find amazing options for at the drugstore that also work really, really nicely around the eyes. And that is any kind of skin protectant or barrier repair cream or balm or ointment, because I've got all three, which actually segues us perfectly into the next category, which is barrier repair. So these are my 3 favorite barrier repair products from the drugstore that I think also make amazing eye creams. Number 1 is the La Roche-Posay Cicaplast Gel B5 Glycerin Skin Protectant, which has 21% glycerin, panthenol, hyaluronic acid, Centella asiatica, zinc, copper, and manganese gluconate, and La Roche-Posay's thermal spring water. This has a slick gel texture that, compared to this gel from CeraVe, does not go as serumy. It maintains that, not thickness because it's not thick, it's very light, but again, like doesn't shear, water out, you know what I'm talking about. It just continues to feel like a lightweight gel the entire time you're applying it. We'll go with that. And this is the most lightweight skin protectant that I own and that I have here out of these 3 options. So if you are somebody that's looking for something that works great during the daytime, or is something that you can layer underneath thicker options, this is going to be the one for you. I, again, am almost completely out of this, which I feel like I say every time I film this video because I am always repurchasing. I just love it. The in-between option in terms of thickness is the Prequel Skin Utility Balm Multi-Purpose Skin Protectant. Ingredient highlights include 5.25% dimethicone, cholesterol, fatty acids, ceramide NP, shea butter, silica, and a smart lipophilic skin hydrator. I have also described this as having kind of a velvet velvety texture, but compared to Naturium, this one is definitely a bit thicker and a bit balmier. And what I have found myself really enjoying about this is compared to a lot of other barrier repair products I've tried, this is almost a little bit drier. Not that it feels dry when you're putting it on, it certainly doesn't, but compared to others that can feel a bit wet, almost a little bit greasy, this is like the opposite of that while still being thick and occlusive. And my number 3 spot, which is actually my personal favorite when I need serious barrier damage help, it is the CeraVe Healing Ointment. It's the thickest, most ointmenty out of all of these, but that is what makes it so incredible for faster healing. This contains 46.5% petrolatum, so occlusive, dimethicone, ceramides, cholesterol, hyaluronic acid, and panthenol. Similar to what I was saying about the Vanicream cleanser, I would not have survived the barrier damage that I got from tretinoin in my early days without the CeraVe Healing Ointment. There was just nothing that healed my skin as quickly as this, so I fell in love with it for that reason, and then, as most of you know, also as kind of like the last layer in my nighttime skincare routine around my eyes. Like I said, I love a barrier repair product for an eye cream. Untinted Sunscreen. This was by far the hardest category to decide on for this video because there are only a handful of untinted sunscreens that have SPF 50 that are from the US that I truly love, and most of them are not under $25. Most of them are not even under 30 or 35. For example, I love the La Roche-Posay AOX sunscreen, and that was my top pick for this video last year, but it's $45, and I saw a comment from one of you that was like, how is that even drugstore? And I was like, honestly, fair. That was actually kind of what inspired me to set a price threshold for this video, and I was able to do it. I was through a combined effort of digging through my old YouTube videos and testing out a lot of the new sunscreen launches. First is my personal top pick for my skin type. It is the Neutrogena Ultra Sheer Face Serum Sunscreen with SPF 60. The sunscreen filters in this are avobenzone, homosalate, octisalate, and octocrylene, and the one ingredient that Neutrogena highlights outside of the sunscreen filters is vitamin E. This is water resistant for up to 80 minutes and has a very lightweight lotion consistency that's soft and hydrating and not greasy or heavy or sticky at all, which is an issue that I have with so many sunscreens from the US at the drugstore. I think especially because I spent the last year or so preparing for my giant Asian sunscreen review, I had kind of forgotten about how gross some of the US sunscreens we have are. Like, genuinely gross. I don't even say that to try to be dramatic. The greasiness, the oiliness, the heaviness, ugh. And this is one of the very few options, especially at this price point threshold, that does not feel like that at all. I also love that this has a truly natural finish and dry down, because then it's something that I don't have to worry about making me look greasy as the day goes on. So if you have oily skin, this is going to be the sunscreen out of the 3 that you like the best. Next is something that, thank God, launched recently. Otherwise, I don't think I could have picked a top 3 for this video. It is The Versed Good Defense Daily Sunscreen with SPF 50. The sunscreen filters are avobenzone, homosalate, and octisalate, and the inactive highlights include betaine, Shoria stenoptera seed butter, ceramide NP, amino acids, PCA, sodium PCA, bisabolol, glycolipids, and licorice root. I really, really love the texture of this. It's probably my favorite texture for a drugstore sunscreen that I have tried yet. It is a lightweight gel cream that feels very moisturizing compared to, let's say, like the Bioma moisturizer. Should I just swatch these for you guys? Only because they are both gel creams, so I want you to see comparatively. This is the Bioma moisturizer, and then this is the Versed sunscreen. Did that show you anything? I do think that the Versed sunscreen is a little bit creamier and a little bit more moisturizing than Bioma, while still being incredibly light, especially for a sunscreen. This dries down to feel like a moisturizer that's slightly tacky. It's not something where I'm like, oh my God, this is sticky, but it just has a little bit of tack that, as you guys know, I personally love for makeup priming purposes. And the finish is very dewy. I don't think you'll love this if you're super oily because of that. I wanted to include this because I think that this is a beautiful option if you have skin that does need that extra dewy boost, but you want to achieve that with a really refreshing gel cream texture. Or if you are somebody that, like myself, really enjoys an illuminating primer under makeup, then this is a really good 2-for-1 where you're getting sunscreen too. But if you're someone that prefers a bit of a thicker, creamier sunscreen, then this will be the one for you. This is the Naturium Dew Glow Moisturizer with SPF 50. The sunscreen filters are homosalate, octisalate, and avobenzone. Inactive ingredient highlights include argan oil, vitamin E, niacinamide, olive M1000, bisabolol, vitamin C, hyaluronic acid, and squalane. Again, this is definitely the thickest, creamiest, and most moisturizing of these 3 sunscreens, so I think you'll really love this if you have dry skin, if you have dehydrated skin, or if you love a sunscreen that has a radiant finish. I do feel like this is one that's both dewy and radiant, which combined with the texture is just not something that I personally gravitate towards for my skin type, but can appreciate how beautiful this is for drier skin types. One more sunscreen category, which is the last category for this video, tinted sunscreen. Last year I gave first place to Neutrogena, and this still deserves a spot in this video. It's the Neutrogena Pure Screen Mineral UV Tint Face Liquid with SPF 30. The reason why I'm okay with this not having SPF 50 is because I always, no matter what, apply an untinted sunscreen underneath anything tinted I'm putting on top of it. So I'm like, for me, I'm already getting that SPF 50 elsewhere. I'm okay with this being SPF 30. The sunscreen filters are titanium dioxide and zinc oxide, and the inactive highlights are vitamin E and iron oxides. This is available in 4 shades, and what I really love about them is that they are all neutral. So if you cannot stand a tinted sunscreen that makes your skin look orange, like so many of them do, I think that you will really enjoy that about this. I have tried shades light and medium, and light is a really nice match for my natural skin tone. Medium is better for when I have self-tan on. The texture of this is a liquidy lotion that has a little bit of an oil-like component while still being something that isn't super slippy and slidey. Overall, I would say that it just feels moisturizing, not greasy, and it also does not dry down to feel greasy on my skin. It just feels like a moisturizer. I was going back to look at old videos of me applying this sunscreen to see if there was any footage I could use. I realized that the first time I reviewed this, I said it had a natural to natural matte finish. Then in my drugstore tinted sunscreen showdown, I said it had a glowy finish. I was like, are you okay? I mean, I've had a million different living and apartment situations over the past several years in filming videos, but because of that and like how things change with lighting, I feel like that's a big reason why that wasn't super consistent for me. So maybe we should meet in the middle and say that this is like naturally glowy, where it gives you a little bit of a glow, but it's not something that makes me look wet or dewy, and it has sheer coverage. So absolutely still a solid tinted sunscreen from the drugstore, one of the best because we don't have that many that are available in multiple shades. That was a requirement for this video. However, I think that has officially been dethroned as my #1 favorite because of another newer sunscreen launch from Versed. Did I just say any of those words correctly? This is the Versed Skin Solution Multi-Serum Skin Tint with SPF 40. The only sunscreen filter in this is zinc oxide, and some inactive highlights include kakadu plum extract, is it kakadu, kakadu? I don't know. Jojoba esters, hyaluronic acid, and iron oxides, and this is available in 14 shades. And the crowd goes wild! The one thing that disappointed me about this was honestly just my expectations, because it's called a multi-serum skin tint. So I was like, oh, it's gonna feel like a serum. It doesn't. It's very creamy, but it's not heavy or thick. It kind of just feels like I'm applying a moisturizer, and I do think that it's creamier than Neutrogena, but feels lighter weight. Because this has a little bit more coverage than a lot of tinted sunscreens, it's something that I do have to blend just a little bit longer to make sure that it's nice and even if I'm applying it with my fingers. If I'm applying it with a sponge, no issues, super quick and easy, seamless, beautiful, and not like it's not seamless and I can't get a beautiful result with my fingers. It takes a little extra time because this actually has light to medium coverage. The finish of this is natural to naturally glowy, so I think it looks beautiful at first, but what I love even more is that this doesn't get greasy on me, so it stays looking pretty all day. This is so good. I'm so excited about this launch, and I think I can officially say it is my favorite tinted sunscreen from the drugstore. But if you would like one more option, because that's what we're doing in this video, I was actually going to choose the Well People Tinted Moisturizer for this final spot, not because it's something that I'm obsessed with the feel of, but because I think that it looks really pretty and it's also available in 14 shades. But that one was apparently also reformulated recently, so I was like, okay, back to the drawing board, and that made me land on CeraVe. I have told you guys before that I don't think this is the best tinted sunscreen I've ever tried at any price point, but again, it was a requirement for me to offer tinted sunscreens in this video that are available in multiple shades. And this is now available in 3 shades. Originally, it was just available in 1. It was like a medium, very orangey tint that was obviously not universal. But now they have a lighter option and a darker option. So for that reason, it has made the cut for this video. So this is the CeraVe Sheer Tint Hydrating Mineral Sunscreen with SPF 30. The sunscreen filters are titanium dioxide and zinc oxide, and the inactive ingredient highlights are ceramides, niacinamide, hyaluronic acid, cholesterol, vitamin E, and iron oxides. This has a very creamy texture that is definitely the thickest of the 3 tinted sunscreens, but for whatever reason, this does not dry down to feel heavy on my skin. It again just feels like a moisturizer. The light shade now works perfectly for my natural skin tone. I would say it's a true light neutral undertone shade, and it has light coverage with a glowy to dewy finish. So if those first 2 options don't quite work out for you, or you just want one that is the most creamy and moisturizing, then CeraVe would be the one to go for. That's it for this video. I really hope you enjoyed it. Let me know in the comments below if we share any of the same drugstore favorites in these categories, if there are other products that you think I need to try that I didn't include. And while you are at it, please don't forget to give this a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, click on that notification bell, and send my channel to a friend. Thank you so much for supporting my channel and doing that. It truly means the world to me. Make sure to stay tuned for my next one because that will be up a week from today. But until then, I hope you have a great week.